Good morning to you all once again. I just put up a video a second ago, had to delete it because I detected a mistake, but I'm back. Um, anyway, when it comes to internet terms, I'm a latecomer. Um, I'll start using these phrases once, maybe about a year or two after everybody starts using it, and then I find myself using it. I've always been kind of a late bloomer in a lot of aspects of life. Always a Johnny come lately, and and while the term is relevant, current, I think I'm going to make a discussion about this term because as I said, when it comes to these internet terms, I don't, but sometimes I have used them incorrectly, and that's on occasion. So anyway, I would say probably for me in probably the last month or so, I've been hearing this term being floated around, the Brooklyn left. I have an idea, or I had an idea what the Brooklyn left is. I've asked a few people. They gave me different answers, but they do kind of overlap and they're kind of similar. But when I think of Brooklyn left in contemporary terms, and I'm using the term contemporary as in maybe the last 60 years, I would call the OG. I would basically say that Bernie Sanders might be the poster child of what it means to be part of the Brooklyn left. But I normally think of, and it's been kind of the combinations of what people think it is. I kind of think, kind of it will actually, you know, explain it well. When I think of the Brooklyn left, I think more than likely the academic left. Um, Ideologues that kind of orbit around the Jacobin magazine, Democratic Socialists of America today in particular, especially with the Bernie Sanders campaign for president in 2016 and 2020. Um, I think of I also think that the characteristic is uh, is Jewish in, yes, as I said, in character, not in a disparaging way. I'm saying this. It's just what I got, just what the impression I get, and also associated kind of also with the youth culture, because you think about it, in the 1960s, London was the place where it was all. I mean, London, Carnaby Street was where it was all happening with their bohemian and artsy, you know, kind of area to live in London. In the United States, it would be San Francisco in the west, Greenwich Village in the east. If you want to come down here to North Carolina today, for many years it will be places like Chapel Hill. But uh, yeah, but anyway, that's kind of the impression I get. And I sometimes when I hear it, and sometimes I hear other people use it in a disparaging sort of way. I'm talking about fellow leftists, and I've been hearing it quite a bit in the last month on YouTube. The reference of the Brooklyn left, the Brooklyn left, and I don't know whether to be humored, offended, both, or just decide to be indifferent toward it. But identity politics comes to mind, and when I think about this term, because you know, as I said, I sort of consider Bernie Sanders to be the main subject of what it means to be in the Brooklyn left today, because Bernie Sanders was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I think of contemporary, even though she's a Puerto Rican American, AOC, affiliated with DSA, obviously that New York connection. And she is the representative of that Brooklyn left today. I would say in the 1970s, feminist turned congresswoman Bella Abzug, and many of you probably never heard of Bella Abzug. Some of you have, and again, in her case, uh, as I said, the Jewish characteristic, I think, would certainly fit with a Congresswoman Bella Abzug. The difference between Bella Abzug and AOC is that AOC is a member of DSA, and she is an anti-Zionist or critical of Israel, whereas Bella Abzug, for what I understand, I used to just assume that she was with the Democratic Socialist Organizing Committee, which became Democratic Socialists of America later on. But for what I've been told is she was more orbiting more around the CPUSA, the Communist Party USA. And the ironic thing is that while the Communist Party USA, I'm guessing probably sometime in the 50s or sometime during the 60s, kind of turned against Zionism, she remained a very strong supporter of Israel all her life too. So anyway, I'm thinking, you know, labor Zionism versus the vision of the LaborBun. I'm thinking of that, and just for those that are not familiar with either term, um, labor Zionism was the main movement that helped create the state of Israel in 1948, when there was an actual left wing foundation by mostly secular Jews who were either social democratic or communist, what was called labor Zionism or socialist Zionism, um, which that particular vision of Israel no longer exists because Zionism has been taken over by the political hard right. But there was alongside with the old labor Zionist movement was the Bun, the Jewish labor Bun, and they were secular Jewish socialists who were critical of the state of Israel and declared that the state of Israel being created was a mistake. And so you had the two competing visions, and I sort of kind of orbit all that around with the Brooklyn left. My concerns about the term is while I do not think that criticism of Israel in itself is anti-Semitic, I get a little bit wheezy on the issue because it's. I think that, as I said, the impression to me it just seems to have a major Jewish characteristic to this, and I am concerned about possible anti-Semitism, especially if it's outside the left and forces outside the left would co-opt it, such as the right wing in this country, or and there is anti-Semitism is pretty much non-existent on the left. I'm not saying that everybody who's right wing is anti-Semitic, but I think it's more of a right wing thought, which is ironic because in modern times the left is largely critical of Israel, uh, um, whereas the the right, certain sections of the far right would be divided on Israel today. If you're an evangelical Christian, a part of the religious right, you have this misinterpretation of Scripture. about God's chosen people, and which usually to me translate into the religious right in this country wants Israel and Iran to start a fight with each other, toss nukes at each other, and you know, I don't see anything that's particularly pro-Jewish about that. Tell you the truth. Um, uh, yeah, and but you got the left who are very critical of Israel. Sometimes justified, sometimes not, depending on your perspective. But there is no anti-Semitism. You're criticizing a state that do shitty things to other people, like the Palestinians. Now, here's the thing: it's not a Jewish character; it's a human character, a human flaw. And for the record, I oppose Israel mistreating the Palestinians, and I oppose Hamas firing rockets into Israel like they do occasionally. I oppose violence all across the board. When it comes to Middle East politics, I oppose the United States selling arms to Saudi Arabia so they can go and oversee a genocide in Yemen. I mean, the whole caboodle. Shitty people are everywhere. Damn it. But anyway, as I said, I know this is a thorny subject, but it's just something that just kind of pondered my mind lately. In hindsight of hearing the term, the Brooklyn left, and I was just like, Brooklyn left. What a fascinating term. So anyway, just share your thoughts on this, and let me know what you think. And if you like this post, go ahead and press like and comment. If you were horrified by it, well, maybe we can talk about it. Go ahead and comment on it. If you like, share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you that if you're passionate about something, um, and you have a platform, utilize it. If you don't have a platform, you're passionate about something, create that platform, utilize it, because we're the muckrakers of our time. And most importantly, hit that subscribe button. Make it grow. And until next time, I am American Social Democracy. Peace. And Bernie Sanders for president in the year 2024.